Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Oregon Minute. This week we have with us the new village administrator, Martin Shanks. Hello, Martin. We're really excited to have you on today. How are you settling in so far?
Pretty good, actually. The first couple of days were a whirlwind, but I was able to have a day with Mike Grace, former administrator, on last Monday. So we kind of had a day to hand off everything. He gave me an 83-point to-do list. So so just a few things going on. But yeah, the first couple days were kind of a whirlwind, but now I'm kind of settling in and meeting with people and getting up to speed on things.
Yeah. Well, and as I was saying, before we started filming, it's good to see you again, Martin. For viewers that are not aware, Martin and I actually we have a rapport established. We both worked in Poinet for a time, so it was really nice when we did our initial interview, Martin. It was nice to hear from a blast from the past. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and now here you are on Oregon's premier community access show.
Absolutely.
So let's backtrack a little bit, Martin. And can you tell us a little bit where you come from and like where you grew up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up on a hog and beef farm just outside of Portage, Wisconsin. And I had a lot of exposure to local government at an early age. Actually, the town hall of the town we lived in was right next to our farm. And my grandfather was involved in town politics, and I had an uncle who was he was employed with the county highway department. So I had a lot of exposure at a young age, and it was always kind of interesting to me and kind of fascinating. And so growing up, I always kind of had an interest and wanted to do something in local government, but never knew exactly what that meant. So I went to UW Stevens Point for my undergrad, and I was double majored in political science and public administration, and still didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had an advisor who he actually knew I was kind of interested in local government, and he set me up with an internship with the village administrator in the village of Plover, which is just right next to Stevens Point. And so I did a semester internship. It was almost kind of like a job shadow for like 8 to 10 hours a week, and realized that this is kind of everything I kind of imagined that I wanted to do, but didn't really know that um, such a thing existed. So wanted to kind of pursue that, and my advisor at Stevens Point suggested that I go get my master's because administrator positions typically require a master's degree. So I went right to grad school at UW Milwaukee, and then I had a couple more internships there, one with the village of Richfield, which is just outside of Milwaukee, and then actually one with the village of Poinet for a summer. Then I graduated from grad school, and I almost immediately got a full-time job with the city of Monroe, and I was the assistant city administrator there for almost 5 years, and had a great experience there. Was involved in a lot of different things, so yeah, just had a lot of great experience gained there. And then got the full-time village administrator job with the village of Poinet back in 2017, so about 4 years ago. And so I had a great experience there. And then obviously put in for this position earlier this year, and now here we are.
What do you think it is about public administration, from deciding it was going to be your, discipline or field of study in college to, getting this position in Oregon? What aspects of public administration do you think really drew you in?
Yeah, I think it all kind of boils down to, um, the ability to positively impact people's lives in a very, very close and direct way. Um, so, local government is very close to the people, obviously, and in terms of levels of government, what we do here is very impactful, and whether it's being able to turn on your faucet or flush a toilet or drive down a street to your job or to wherever. These are the types of things that you know you kind of take for granted, and they're very fragile. But um, I always thought that would be the best way to positively impact people's lives, and um, just my kind of skill set and my kind of gifts that I have are very um, I don't know, in tune with the administrator and the municipal management position, for managing people and organization and all that kind of stuff. So, all those things kind of came together in a perfect storm and really led me to the position in the career.
Um, so what do you think it was about Oregon?
Yeah, so it was a couple things. So professionally, um, the municipal manager's profession, it kind of has a traditional trajectory. So you go to college, you become like an assistant, then you make the jump to being an administrator in a smaller community, and then after 2, 3, 4 years in a smaller community, you become kind of certified, I guess, in the eyes of larger communities. And so I'm kind of at that point in my career, obviously. And so, for me, growing up just outside of Portage, that was kind of what I always envisioned as, the size of community that I would work in someday, just over 10,000 people. Um, and so that kind of, Oregon kind of checked all those boxes. And then when I was kind of doing my research, learned a lot of exciting things that are happening here in Oregon with, the building projects that are going to be taking place. There's a lot of growth happening, obviously, in Oregon. So there's a lot of things that are, exciting for someone like me to kind of work on and to be involved with. And then, personally, um, my wife and I just had our first child a year ago. So we have a 1-year-old daughter. And so we're kind of at the beginning of our family life together. And so we were kind of looking at, someplace that we can settle down for many, many years. And obviously, the Oregon School District is tremendous, so that was a factor as well. So again, all those factors kind of came together in a perfect storm, and uh, put my name in, and again, here we are.
So you were selected from a pool of 5 finalists.
Mhm.
And so why do you think you ultimately got the position?
Yeah, that's interesting. There was a lot of really good candidates, very well qualified candidates that were in the final process there. And some of the feedback that I've gotten here in the first week or so is a lot of people mentioned that I kind of reminded them of Mike Grace a little bit. Kind of that almost kind of like a quiet leadership, lead from behind. Um, you know, uh, doesn't has a personality where I don't get too high or too low, pretty even keeled. And so I think that resonated with a lot of people. I got some feedback too that my references were really high on me, and they really said a lot of really good things about me. Um, and so I think, yeah, all those things came together, and yeah, I was
Mhm.
selected.
Yeah. I know those questions that, that kind of prompt people to talk highly of themselves. I know when I get asked questions like that, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
well, can I take like 10 minutes to just
Yeah.
like what are my strengths, So I think that's really cool that you could offer all of those.
Yeah,
So
no, it's hard. I'm the same way. have a hard time talking about myself. So fortunately, some people had already given me some feedback, so I was able to use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, that's my approach to. I'm like, well, this person said this, so maybe that's the truth.
Yep,
um,
exactly.
so then, so you've been the administrator for, well, just just more than a week now, and you have your 83 steps that Mike Grace gave you. So, but of those 83 steps, what are some things that you're looking forward to in your new role?
Yeah. So I think the big things, in the first couple days here, um, it's obvious that the growth of the community is really driving the internal workings of the organization as well. There's just so much going on with the subdivisions that we have and some other developments that we have going on, and just trying to manage that, and then not just manage those processes, but then how do you manage that growth internally within the organization? So how do we have enough resources for, do we have enough people plowing snow? Do we have enough firefighters? Do we have enough cops? Do we, all of those things? Do we have enough administrative staff here to handle that stuff? And so just being able to keep up with that it's evident that, that's really driving what's happening, here within the organization and in the village. And then a couple other things, I think, when I went through the hiring process, it was shared with me that, um, the village board is really high on the village department heads. They think they really have a really great staff here. And within the first week, it's evident that that's very, very true. Oregon has some very tremendous and talented and professional department heads here and staff. And so that makes my life, a lot easier, certainly. Um, but we need to think too about, how do we retain these people, and how do we attract more people like them and keep them engaged? So those are things that I'm thinking about as I'm trying to get acclimated and get up to speed on what's going on.
Um, yeah, I think that's a great answer. You know, because you have your bigger projects that you look forward to, right? But then things as simple as, well, kind of like you mentioned earlier in this interview too, like, does this person's basement flooded? Is this like an overall flooding issue? And with the village, I mean, yeah, there's been
Hmm.
a conversation about stormwater, or yeah, does the fire department have enough staff? And so it's like, yeah, you're having to consider those really small things and those small impacts on daily lives, versus these larger projects too. So that's, I think, a cool thing. um,
Yeah, I mean, you
I
can
think.
you can see, I mean, like I said, growth is driving everything, and it comes
Mhm.
from the bigger stuff like the building projects, Village Hall and the library and the senior center and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely a unique time in the history of Oregon. We're kind of at a point where it seems like the village has grown so rapidly, and now, as a village, as an organization, we need to make sure that we're providing um, the services that are expected of the village.
Well, Martin, I think that was all the questions I had for you today. I think, welcome to the community. I think I remember when we worked in Poinet together, you had just started that position too. So I remember
Yep.
welcoming you then as
Yeah.
well. So welcome, but I always like to ask, is there anything else that you'd like our viewers to know? Just upcoming projects, things about you.
No, I think we pretty much covered it. I think, what am I, 10 days into the job? So, for me, it's like right now it's a little bit of a whirlwind. So I'm kind of at the point where I'm trying to meet people and trying to get to know names and faces and make connections. And as I said, I feel very fortunate to have a really good staff around me, so they can focus on the nitty gritty of what's going on. And I can kind of get up to speed and focus on the bigger picture and be a little bit more strategic that way. So yeah, no, it's exciting. It's going really good so far, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
All right. Well, thanks again, Martin, for taking the time out of your 83 tasks to be on the show today. And yeah, for all of our viewers, as you all know, we have episodes every Thursday at 7 p.m. So please tune in. We have some great stuff coming up for you. So thank you, everyone.